Okay, so today we're looking at rotoscoping, and we're in Adobe Animate. So what you're going to need to have is you're going to have two files, one of which is an action, so what you're going to be animating, and the other one which is a background. So that's what you're going to keep. So what we're going to do is we're going to create new. We're going to go, yeah, full HD, all of this looks good, frame rate 24, action script 3. So press create, and here we are. So we've got our stage here. And what we want to do is we want to change the stage color to like a really vivid green. So it's exactly like a green screen really. We use green because it doesn't usually crop up in like people's eye color, people's hair color, people's skin color, people's clothes. People rarely wear this color, so the computer can really easily distinguish, right, that's what I'm getting rid of. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to create, down here on your timeline, create 3 layers. So this one is going to be video. So this is where you're going to put your original video with your action. This one's going to be, so I'm going to do black and white. So we're going to have white and then black outline. Okay, cool. So if we click on this one here, what we're going to do is we're going to bring up that file there, and we're just going to drop the action onto there. So it'll come up with this, and what you need to do is you need to click the bottom one, then you need to press next, and finish. So what that should do is import that file into your timeline here. So if you have a look, there it is. So obviously we don't want it this small, we want it the size of our stage. So we're going to Control T, or not, we'll press this button here. Press Shift so that it doesn't go all skew with, and just change it to the size that you want. Obviously it doesn't matter if it's slightly blurry or the quality is shocking, because we're not going to see this video. So as long as you get it into place, that's absolutely fine. So I'm going to just make this a little bit bigger now. There we go. Just push it up a little bit. So it's just the bottom of the stage meets the bottom of my video. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's not exact. There we are. So what we're going to do is we're going to lock that now. So we don't want to change this at all. Now, just decide where you want to start. Say if I wanted to start here, I just put insert blank keyframe there if that's what I wanted to do. But I'm actually going to start from the beginning. So if we lock this black outline, because we don't want to draw on this one, we just want to draw on the white for now, get your classic brush here, change the colour, and I'd probably change the size, probably something more like 10. You know, it doesn't need to be exact for this. Actually, you know what? We'll go crazy. We'll go 30. So you literally just, I'm trying to do this with my trackpad because I didn't get my graphics tablet out. Okay, I mean, it doesn't need to be exact for my purposes, but if you want to make it a bit more exact, that's probably for the best. It doesn't matter if you go a little bit over, like colour outside the lines sort of thing, simply because you're actually going to draw over them. So if anything, it'll be better if you go a little bit outside of what you need. So all I'm doing here is just making one big shape. You can go over it again. It doesn't really matter if you miss bits. So like here, I missed that bit. I'll just draw a little bit extra over, and here with the shoulder there as well. So then I just, the shortcut is K for the fill tool, or you can just find it there on the side of your screen. Just click that, and there we go. So we've got one background. Obviously we can't see the video now, so we don't know where we're outlining. So you can just click that button there, which makes that bit invisible. I'd lock that as well, and then we go back up to here. If you go into your tool thing again, so just press B for brush, change this. I'd probably say, I think 10 is suitable now. We'll change the fill to black and then just zoom in and just go over your lines. So I definitely recommend doing thicker and thinner lines for the more obvious pieces. So, you know, the hair and stuff can be thinner and thicker because we've got, you know, a lot of shadow, a lot of highlight there, and it just adds a bit of dimension if you change the kind of thickness of your brush. So that, yeah. So we'll just come down here. And then if I go, and I'll just do a few frames just like this so you can kind of get the idea of what I'm doing. I won't record those, I'll go and do that separately. Just go, try and be as accurate as possible because it's just so much easier if you really do stick to your template, because that's all this action is literally just a template for your animation. Bit of a cheat's way out really. So, just saying be accurate, then going wildly off course. Obviously, if you want to do different characters, if you want to, so what I did for my short paper flowers, I actually only had 2 actors and I had 3 characters, and one of the characters was bold, so I just drew him with a bold head. That's the great thing about Rotoscope, is that you can literally just draw whatever you want, but you've still got that kind of template, so you've got that backup if you don't feel, I mean, I'm not trained in portraiture, as you can probably tell. I really need that kind of, that template there just to show me, actually, you know, this is the proportions, this is kind of how you do it there. I'd really recommend doing this with a graphics tablet or like a stylus, or I mean whatever you can use really. I'm currently using a trackpad, and for the piece that I did for college, Goodbye to Santa Monica, I actually just used a mouse for that, which was, for a lot of it, and then I used a graphics tablet for some of it. It was quite difficult, but there we are. So for the face here, I'd really recommend using a smaller brush just because it's quite detailed. So we'll say, let's try 5, let's see how that looks. And it doesn't have to be incredibly accurate as long as you get those basic shapes there. I think that the idea really with animation is to just, you know, it's to give people a feeling, and I'm sure nobody is going to be overly, you know, critical of your work if you it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, nobody's perfect. Your animation doesn't have to be perfect. And you know what, sometimes I think that actually if it's not perfect, it gives it more of a charm, but that's just my opinion. There we are. So sometimes, like, you can see there, I'm not overly clear on the lines. Now I wouldn't really suggest, like, I wouldn't recommend kind of filling in bits that you think are there, because, you know, you don't know, but at the same time, don't just leave half the nose off if you can't quite make it out. It can be quite difficult sometimes drawing like this, just because it is difficult to make some of the parts of the face out, because obviously the resolution isn't that great, but, you know, just try your best, really. That's what I can really say, just try your best. It's also kind of down to your personal style, so if you're, you know, if you want to be a bit more detailed, if you just want to do like this, like, you know, have very basic kind of broad lines, then that's completely up to you. And I think that Rotoscope kind of gives you that freedom of, yes, you've got a template, but you can also add your own kind of stylistic choice in. So if I just add some lips here, and like I said, this is quite like a basic thing, so I'm literally just using my trackpad and that, so I mean, it's not going to be a masterpiece. It's not going to be a masterpiece, but you know, there we go. Okay, so now we've got those outlines. There we are. So you've got this now. and that will be your first keyframe. And then if you just add, if you want the cheats way out, if you don't want to do each piece, you know, every frame for frame, if you've got quite a long animation or something like that, if you're on a time restriction, then I would say you can always just have a look at, you know, where, there we are. So if you just have a look at like where your outline is and how much movement your character has. So she doesn't move out of that outline there. She doesn't move very far out of that outline there. So to be honest, probably until this frame here, you could probably just put a blank frame here, blank keyframe, and then do your white over that new keyframe, and just do the white intermittently, because that's just a background, that's just to make the kind of the black outline stand out a lot more. And as long as if you're not leaving it for, you know, a second at a time, it shouldn't be too bad. If you want to do it like properly, then yeah, I would recommend changing it each time she moves, just because otherwise this kind of ghost around her is going to be not really in sync with the black. But if you are, you know, looking to save a bit of time and it doesn't have to be perfect, then I won't read too much. I'd probably give it till this frame, and then I would add some more white on. With the black outline, I would really recommend doing it every time. Just because otherwise it's going to be really disjointed if you don't do it every time. So yeah, if I go off now and I'll do a few more frames, and then we'll get a feel for like an actual animation, and then I'll show you how to put it onto Premiere Pro and onto your background. Okay, so here we are, we finished our animation. So if we just give that one a quick watch again, just to make sure it's how we want it. Perfect. So if you see, I've got this layer unlocked with the original video on it. If we delete that one, and then it leaves us with our actress here against the green background, which acts like a green screen. So if we go to File, Export, Export Video Media, so we don't want it to ignore the stage colour, because obviously that's what we're using as our green screen. We want the entire movie, MPG2, save it to the file that you want, and then export. So what it should do is it should automatically export to Adobe Media Encoder. So you can see I've had a few attempts. So now they've all done, it will automatically start converting them. And once they're done, they'll be in your files. Okay, so now we're in Premiere Pro. And here we are. So this is Premiere Pro. You might have used it before. So if we go into Assembly, so we've got action on green screen, action and background. So we're going to want to drag action on green screen and background into our assembly bit here in this bin. And then we're going to pull these, no we're not, we're going to go to editing. And then we're going to pull the background into the V1, A1. I'm going to pull the green screen into V2 and A2. So there we are. You can see we've got a green screen and you cannot see the background. And this one is also actually really big. So it's not the size of this stage here. So if we go into Effects and we go into Video Effects, we go into keying, and then you'll find this Ultra key here. So if you just click on this one and drag it over to our little green screen bit there. So you'll be able to find, here we can scale it, so we can change the size. So say if we want it 30 of what it is, and there you see it's now not quite the size of the screen. So you just kind of play with that a little bit. So, okay, let's say 36, that's the size we want it. You can change the position, so if you want her either way, so we'll put her there. Or will we? No, we'll move her over a little bit. There we are. So we go to this key colour here, because obviously you still see we've got the green background, which we don't want. We want our background. So you go to key color and you see this little eye drop thing. Click on that and click that green, and bam, there we go. So you've got rid of that green screen and now you've just got her here in the screen. So if we play that, there we are. So now we just need to cut this down. So if we go back to editing, and there we go. So get this little razor tool and you can just cut it there, get your little select tool, delete. Perfect. So now that's our video, and there you are. That's all we need to do. So if we want to save this one now, so export, media, and this will open up Media Encoder again. And it's just the same as before when we exported it from Flash. Just have to wait for it to say it's done, and then voila, you've got your video.